All right. Hello, everyone. This is Sherry Sims, founder of Black Career Women's Network, and we're here for another episode of Career Tip Tuesday. And we also have my co-host Makita Matthews, which is our national network chief national network director here. All right. I know we have been gone for a couple of weeks, and I have received some emails saying when were you guys coming back, and we are glad to be here. So today we're going to be talking specifically about identifying new workplace cultures. So, Nikki, do you want to
So,
kick that off for us?
yeah, so this is definitely something that I am embarking on. So I am grateful for this Career Tip Tuesday. But in all aspects of where you are in your career, when you get into a new workplace, you need to identify the culture, the who, the how, the what, how do things work, and it's just going to really help you navigate politically. And it'll help you. It'll help ease kind of the pressure and just getting along with folks and figuring out how to do things, because that's what you need to do. Just do things. We know we not only have to do our job, but we have to really be politically savvy.
Yes, we do. And it looked like we have Crystal Gale from Houston, Texas, tuning in. So welcome. Welcome. I know that we've actually been gone for the last couple of weeks. So we are so glad to be back and to be talking to our audience. And we also have some members who are watching from inside of our community of BCW and inside of our mobile app. So welcome. We're so glad you're here. All right. So going back to talking about identifying new workplace culture, as Makita said, one of the important things is that when you start a new job, you want to make sure that you are doing a couple of things. You want to know who, how, and what to observe. It's not just about you going to work and then learning about your job, making sure that you're meeting whatever goals they have really are expecting for you to meet within that first 30, 60, 90 days. It's so much more than just that. And so you really need to go to work and think about who, how, and what you need to observe, which is going to help you to get more adapted quickly to the culture, understanding what the workplace norms are, understanding who are the key players and influencers in that specific culture too. So you have multiple things you need to be trying to do at the same time while you start that job.
Yeah.
So
And
hello,
knowing all
Sheila.
of these,
Welcome from Maine. Oh, go
hey
ahead,
Sheila.
Lakita.
No, I was just going to say, knowing all of these things is just going to help you do your job and get things done quicker. Because that's, of course,
Right.
what we want to do. But we do have to play this political game.
So when we're talking about that, let's talk about how, I mean, what questions do you need to be asking? Who do you need to watch? And what resources do you need to use in order to get acclimated pretty quickly to your job, right? And so I think it's important to think about who are those people? Who do you need to watch? Again, what questions do you need to ask? And what
Mhm.
resources do you need to use?
Right.
And it looks like, hi, Rochelle. It looks like people are starting to come in now. Welcome, welcome, welcome,
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah.
All
Hey
right, so
everyone.
Makita,
Hey everyone.
yes, I've got just a little bit of lag, so excuse me if I'm kind of coming behind. Makita's having just a little bit of lag on my side here for now, but we're hanging in there. All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
so Makita, let's jump right into. We're talking about the how, what, and what ask questions. And for those of you who are just tuning in, we are talking about identifying a new workplace culture. Talking about how to you adapt to that. What are some of the things you need to be looking out for in a new workplace culture, or even if you see a shift in the current workplace culture you're in now in your current job, because cultures can change from being healthy to toxic very quickly, depending on the people that are coming into the organization. So again, this can help with that. So let's go right into, we're talking about how and why. Who's the who?
Who? Right. Who's the who? So you want to know, who are your peers? Who do your peers work with? Who are your bosses, peers, your coworkers? Who's leadership, mid-level and senior level? And
Mm-hmm.
all of this is important, of course, because you need to figure out what is everybody's role. Not only what's their job, but who's connected to who has this person's ear, who has that person's ear, who's the influencer. But you also need to
Right.
look at things like who's the gossiper, who is, and that's not, somebody you of course want to align yourself with, but you need to know like who is everybody, what role do they play in the organization, and kind of what sort of, view does everybody else have on them.
Mhm.
Sherry, you want to?
So yeah, so that goes back to what to observe, right? Talk about what to observe in your environment. When you talk about what you observe the behaviors. You want to observe the behaviors of the people. You want to observe who are the influencers. And just because you're a leader doesn't mean you're an influencer, okay? So the influencer may even be someone with the right title, with that type of title. It could be someone who's your peer that could be an influencer. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. But
Yeah.
pay attention to the hierarchy, right? Because in what we mean by hierarchy is we're not talking about, yeah, your boss has a boss and that boss has a boss. We're talking about how do people respect the hierarchy? How is the hierarchy move through the organization? Which means that shows you a lot about the norms and within, or some of the hidden workplace rules that could also be in the culture as well. So paying attention to the hierarchy is important because again, you don't have to be someone who has a leadership title to be someone who's influential in that hierarchy, if that makes sense.
That's right. And, kind of going back to, you said, being observant, but I want to go back to asking questions about who people are. So you're going to be meeting with folks, I'm sure, in all of these different meetings and quarterly associate meetings, everything like that. Ask the questions. Okay, who are they? How did they get there? I think that'll tell you a lot. That'll let you know,
Mm-hmm.
does the company value tenure? Does the company value doing a whole bunch of stretch assignments or lateral moves, and maybe where they came from? So those are some super important questions, not only observing who these people are, but understanding how they got there and how they kind of got their influence. That'll tell you a lot.
All right, so we're going to spend the rest of our time with helping you to identify 7 office characters. And we call them characters because they can be just that, okay? So we're just going to keep it real. And so we're going to help you to identify the 7 office characters. Now, there's more than just the 7, but these are probably the most identifiable 7 that you will find. And so the first one is the complimenter. Really, let's talk about the complimenter for a minute, because the complimenter to me is somebody who could be very flattering, right? They could be someone who's going to offer up the compliments. Makita, your hair is looking amazing today. Love that outfit. But what can the complimenter do? What's the purpose of them doing that? What's the whole purpose of them being so complimentary?
What's the purpose of
I'm
them
just
being so
saying.
complimentary? Whew. I want to know what you ladies think. Let us know. But one of the purpose of them being complimentary is just to get on your good side, just flattery, just kind of help you to let your guard down, so to speak. What do you think, Sherry?
I think that they reserve most of their flattery for people who are influenced or anyone who can help them get ahead. They can also be manipulating, if that makes sense, because for them, being complimentary means that you may have a perception of them that they're safe. So you
That's
may
right.
let your guard down and you may share certain things about other people in the office or about any kind of projects you're working on and things like that. Now, we're not saying that people are genuinely complimentary, right? Because you can come to work and say, "Oh, I love your outfit today." I mean, those are things that can be genuine, but if they're coming from someone who has the right character. But
That's
again,
right.
being able to kind of see it for what it truly is, it's important to understand that making sure that the compliments are genuine and they're not really kind of doing it to create an agenda for what they think they may be trying to get out of you, if that makes
That's right.
sense.
That's
Um,
right.
and it
That's right.
looks
I
like
agree.
some of our comments here. Yeah. So
When
Nella says this
when
is an
user
important topic.
says they can, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay,
I
go
was just
ahead.
gonna.
She's
Yeah, well, somebody says they can be real or they can be fake. That's absolutely correct. But Rochelle says they want something. That's really
Oh,
interesting. And that could
absolutely.
absolutely be it. That could absolutely be it. Thanks, Rochelle.
Yep, that's so true. That's very good. So the second one we have is the go-to person. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, your go to
Mhm.
person, I think, can probably be someone who can be an ally or someone you may want to truly consider that you want to, really be, what I consider associating yourself with, because maybe they're the person who really knows everything and that's the person you want to go to. So if you're not getting what you need, maybe they can help you. So here's the thing about a go to person: they may not always be visible, but they can be an influencer. Okay, highly
Mhm.
influential because they know probably more than anybody in the team. So
Mhm.
again, they probably have access to leadership, access to people in leadership that you don't have access to, and they're more than likely probably well connected.
That's right.
So just thinking about that go-to person and what they have to offer. And when you're building the relationship with them, don't build it because of what you think you're getting from them. Look at them as
Right.
someone who could be a possible ally for you and to help you to identify what you need to know so you can get pretty acclimated to your job pretty quickly and probably succeed ahead of what the expectation might be for you in the role as well.
That's right.
And so Rochelle says, I have to use discernment when I feel these people out. Yeah, you do. If you're talking
Mm.
specifically about the complimenter, yeah, you do want to use discernment when you're feeling them out specifically. Anything you want to add about the go-to person, Nikita?
Excuse me. No, just the point that you made that that go-to person is well connected and has access to leadership. Leadership's probably, got that go-to person there in their back pocket. So again, utilize that person to get to learn the organization, figure out what you need to know, and they could be a really, really, really great asset to you.
Yep. Now the next one is the gossiper, right? And I think
Mhm.
we kind of already know who this gossiper could be. They're probably going to be the person you can identify really quick. They're going to always know who's who, what's going on, who's doing who, who's going what, who's getting promoted, who's not, who got all of that stuff, right? But more than anything, they're going to be nosy and assumptive,
That's
right?
right.
Which means they're going to be asking a lot of questions, assuming certain things. They may ask questions that are not really relevant.
Mhm.
you know, you're probably like, why are they asking that question? That's so you know, out of character.
Yeah,
And they may
that's
start
right.
rumors too. They may be
Mm.
someone who starts rumors, or if they don't start them, they may be the one to pass the rumor on too. So
That's right. That's right.
that can be. I mean, and who's had experience with gossipers? Because they can be a toxic workplace killer for sure. Um,
Absolutely, yes. I definitely have, and not that there was a rumor about me or whatever, but it was just a bad look to even be seen with the gossiper because people make that assumption that, oh, you're gossiping too, or you're giving this
mhm,
person motive or ammo to do and say these things. So the gossiper
that's
is
true.
definitely not somebody whom you want to, spend a lot of time with, so to speak.
So we have a LinkedIn user that says, "Be careful because sometimes the go-to person does have the year of management or the ear of management and cannot be good sometimes." Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. They could be they're an influencer for sure. They, like I said, they may not be have a high level title, but they're still very much influential. So you definitely are correct about that. So you still kind of have to weed out, kind of feel out their character and see if they're making sure that they're taking what they have and using the power they have for good and they're not using it for their own gain. So you make a very good point when you say that about the go-to person. So and I think that's anyone that they feel like they have a little bit of power to make sure they're
That's
not
right.
taking it and using it or abusing it in any kind of way.
Yeah.
All right, so
So
this
another
this
LinkedIn
LinkedIn
user,
user, go
I'll
ahead,
go
Nikita.
ahead. It says, but yes, if management has a go-to person in their back pocket, you might want to be careful with what you tell them. That's absolutely true. I think that with the go-to person, you want to ask questions. You want to use that excuse, hey, I'm new. Can you tell me about this? Can you tell me about that? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think maybe it's a better opportunity to ask them questions and pick their brains and gain their knowledge versus tell them things. So I think you're absolutely right. Rochelle says guilty by association. Yes,
Guilty by
absolutely.
association, I
Yes,
know,
you
right?
you are by being a part of or being close to the gossiper. Tia says yes, definitely. The gossiping person does like to often keep up drama, so I speak and keep it moving. Yes, thank you, Tia.
Exactly. Exactly.
We have another LinkedIn user that says, "It took me a minute in my early career to realize I was a gossiper, and I didn't intend
Oh.
to be. It was a product of previous work environments that I had been in." Yeah.
I like that she brought that up because that makes a very good point when you talk about being in these environments, and when you talk about having a sense of belonging and belonging at work, and you want to, we're not going to work necessarily with our goal to try to fit in, but we do want to be comfortable and be ourselves in the places that we work. And sometimes you can get caught up in that because if someone comes to you, what we consider some scoop, workplace scoop, you can be like you might engage in it and not really realizing that you're before you know it you're contributing to the gossip in a way that that you didn't intend to in the first place. So thank you for being transparent about that, because that's truly that's important
That's
um,
right.
to do that. I mean, and I've been guilty of that myself before in the past, for sure.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what about the advocate? So what about the advocate that is why this person is considered a someone who is part of the seven office characters?
Well, there's a couple of things about the advocate. One, they push their own agenda. So that's number one. Number two, they may appear to be an advocate for the entire team. And lastly, they're supportive, yes, absolutely, and they want to get things done, but maybe not necessarily supportive of you, your ideas, and your, agenda. So you do have to be careful about the advocate as well. That's definitely one character that's in the office for sure. Sherry, what do you think?
So so let's not I guess confuse them with the true advocate, right? So we're talking about someone who's probably more of a lobbyist, if that makes sense. Someone who's more lobbying for their own agenda, pushing for their own agenda, so to speak. So maybe we should call them more of a lobbyist, not necessarily an advocate, because we don't want people to think
Yes, that's
that this is
better.
the way advocates, yeah, we don't want
Yep.
people to think that this is the way advocates move around, because this is so not true, right? So we might want to just change that to lobbyists. This is someone who's lobbying really to push their own agenda for things. And
Yes.
those kind, those are the
Yeah.
kind that are coming to you. They may appear to be supportive, right? But and they may appear to be supportive, but they're really not. They're kind of just pushing their own agenda off on you, or kind of helping. They want you to kind of help them to push their agenda along. So maybe that's
Very
probably the proper way to
selfish.
do that versus the
Yeah.
the advocate. We don't want
Yeah.
people thinking, we get deflated about I shouldn't find an advocate now because you're going to be this way. No,
No,
that's not
no,
the case.
lobbyist is a better word, yes. But yes,
Absolutely.
essentially the essence of that lobbyist is selfishness.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. All the way. I agree completely. So what about the slacker?
Ooh, the slacker, that's a good one. So I definitely want to hear what you ladies have to say as it relates to the slacker.
The slacker
Um,
is what it is, right?
Somebody who's just lagging behind, procrastinating, is not going to get back to you, is not going to, help you out, just kind of back there doing whatever.
And the slacker could be someone who maybe works to get things done at the last minute, and then they also may champion other people to help them get things done, but they may put the heavy load on you, and they just do one particular task, and kind of but making you feel as if you're being this team player by helping them out, but you're doing the majority of the work, right? And then we also kind of see the slacker too, because the slacker is always the person who's maybe doing the most complaining, a lot of
Mhm.
times.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the most
Hmm.
complaining. And and here's the thing. Remember always we used to always say, oh, the first one's coming in work to come work early, and then the other one's the last person in the office. But now if you think about it, people look at that differently now. If you're
Hmm.
someone who's working and bringing them in on all, what the hell were you doing during the day when you still got to work till 7, 8 o'clock at night?
What are you
Unless
doing?
you
Hmm.
truly, yeah, unless you do have a workload that is truly heavy and you have to do that. But a lot of times people are really trying to get their work done in their 8 hour time frame so they can have some work life balance.
That's right. That's right.
So just thinking about it from that perspective,
Mhm.
just saying. just think about from that perspective is that they're trying to be in the morning, trying to come in before everybody else gets there, and then the last person there doesn't mean that you got this amazing work ethic. Maybe you need to kind of rethink how you're balancing out your work during the day.
Mhm, mhm.
So slackers can kind of get away with some of that.
That's right.
What about the credit? What about the credit stealer?
Ooh, the credit stealer. I think we've all experienced this person in the workplace. The one who will take the credit for ideas, for success, and not give any credit where credit is due. They want to be seen in a good light. They want to be seen as accomplished and successful. And in the same breath, they will throw you underneath the bus. Say, nope, this person didn't do anything that they were told. They missed deadlines. They did this, whatever. So they'll throw you under the bus. They'll take the credit, and they may appear to be helpful or a team player, but there could be some alternate motive there in the background. So you
We have a
definitely.
LinkedIn user says, "Don't get me started on this one."
Oh, yes, we have experienced the credits. We have, but I'm actually
Hmm.
curious. Some of you on LinkedIn and in the app, tell us how you have kind of regained or reclaimed your credit when the credit stealer takes it away. I'm very curious to hear some of these stories and how you've been able to get that done.
We have a LinkedIn user that says they would throw you under the bus and back up
Mhm,
and run you
mhm,
over, right?
mhm,
If you
mhm.
let them, right? If you let them. So I mean, I think we talked about this in a couple of our other career tip Tuesdays about speaking up for yourself and making it known to your to coworkers and peers about where you are in terms of your integrity and how you work, and your work style and what you expect from them, right?
That's
And then being able to be, I believe you got to be in, and you have to be in an environment where you call things out, do it with
mhm,
compassion, do it with respect, and that
mhm.
way people know, how to come at you. Is there's no assumptions about your behavior and who you are and the character you're displaying at work.
That's right.
So she says, I think it comes down to one very open and honest conversation to let the person know that you understand what they were trying to do. Absolutely, right? But the credit stealers are sneaky. Okay, they are sneaky. Again, there's someone who could be that lobbyist or even that go-to person that you feel comfortable enough to share all this information with, or the someone who is also the complimenter, and you feel comfortable to share this and look with them, and then you look up, they're the ones in the meeting sharing the idea or trying to use your presentation or going behind your back and doing it. So I think all that can be, you have to watch for that. So
That's right.
Rochelle says, I align myself with an ally, and the ally reminds everyone where the idea came from. Hmm.
Mhm,
That's a good one.
mhm. LA is good. Yeah, good, good,
Very
good.
smart. Or you can also let your manager know that you're going to be presenting this, or you come up with the idea. Let them know during parts of the creativity process, so they'll know where you are. So if someone else comes into the play and tries to steal credit, they're like, no, this person's
Mhm,
already told me that they've been working on this, so that way it kind of just now takes away from their validity and shows this dishonesty about who they are and how they're showing up.
that's right. So Charisse says they pretend to be, uh, they pretend that they are not the villain in the story, but they had to adjust in order to make things work. Yep,
I like
absolutely.
that. Now,
Vintage.
Monica, hey Monica over inside of our app, she's live inside of our app. She says that she stayed
Hey,
clear of the
Monica.
gossiper and that they have ulterior motives and can damage your brand. She also says
Mhm.
advocates are gold and they can help you navigate your career success. And they've helped her bridge relationships with leadership. But she said the slacker may do just the minimum to stay under the radar and may not be
That's right.
proficient in the role. Don't
Yep.
we know that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
have you kind of
Mm-hmm.
carrying the load, and they trying to be the rock star. We not having that's not gonna happen. We not having that.
Yeah. Yeah, the slackers. I've came across a couple of them in my professional career, and I just have to think to myself, how, if you don't want to work, why are you here? Or if you're so upset, why don't you just go? But gosh, just making it so hard on everybody else.
Yeah. So Tia says, I honestly just have to call them out. I know, right? That's what you
Yes.
have to do,
Yeah.
Tia. I'm with you 100%. You just got to call them out. You
Hmm.
know, and here's the thing. The type of work environments that we work in now, we work in a post-pandemic environment where people are hybrid, you know, great resignation. You got that silent, you know, what they call it now, the silent, it's the quiet, the quiet,
The
I forgot
silent
what they call it.
generation.
No, the quiet,
It's,
not the quiet resignation. It's the person who quietly is quietly quitting. They're quietly quitting their job, which means they're slowly kind of, you know,
hmm,
withdrawing from the work, and kind of slowly withdrawing themselves and moving themselves slowly out of the
okay.
role, in a way, starting with the performance, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. So, you know, with a lot of that is happening is that we kind of have to now show up and have these honest conversations with people now, in a way that is authentic. You know, if we're talking about being inclusive and having all these inclusive workplace cultures, all those things require for you to be authentic. They require for you to be transparent. They
Yeah.
require honesty
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
order for those things to happen.
Yeah. Sure do. Um,
All right.
quiet
So
quitter.
I think the sabotager is our last one.
Yes. So the sabotager, oof, they're the master manipulator. They are the master manipulator in the office. They pit people against each other that may not necessarily need to be against each other, or you might not even see it coming. Again, being manipulative, and they make everybody look bad. And it's like that's their goal. That's what they're living for every single day. That's what they're coming in these doors to do, to make people look bad. So you have the sabotager who is also, again, not a good look to be around. Sherry, what do you think?
Now, the sabotage is the one that back in the day I'd have been like, meet me outside after work is over.
Catch me outside.
Catch me outside because I'm going to tell you about yourself, okay? But now we know that we have the tools now to be able
Oh,
to you know to deal with them, you know, professionally in the workplace and use emotional intelligence to do that. But they are probably the person that you will need to address, and you will need to confront. You will need to be clear about your communication. You will need to set boundaries with, more so probably than any of the other characters we talked about, because we
mhm,
already know that they're you know they're pulling out the big guns because they're after
mhm.
your job, they're after whatever you do. They want that visibility,
Yep.
they want the title. So their whole goal is to discredit you. Their whole goal is to create a toxic workplace to kind of pit everybody against you until you get to the place where you either stand up for yourself, or you at least find someone who can help to neutralize it, whether it's a supervisor or a leader, or push you. I mean, just push you out. I mean, again, you know, and right, setting boundaries, Sharice, is important with sabotage. You kind of have to really let them know where you stand in that. And here's the thing: it's okay for you to. And here's the problem with the sabotager, you guys. With the sabotager, even if you directly confront them, they can either deny it,
Mhm.
or they can try to use that and try to gaslight you to make you feel like something's wrong with you and that you're the one with the problem. They're just absolutely fine. So
Mhm.
again, when you want to confront a sabotager or you want to set those boundaries, make sure you are bringing the facts to the table that they cannot deny.
That's
On
right.
this date, you did this. On this day, we had this conversation. On this date, I experienced this with you. And so that way, there's no denying it or trying to gaslight you. You absolutely can now. You got the goods to say, I need you to scale it back. Or if you feel like that you can't have that one-on-one professional, mature conversation with them, and if you feel like you need to bring someone in to mediate, then do just that, right? But if you're going to someone who is your leader, or if you're bringing someone else in as a third party who's on the outside looking in, so they won't have a biased opinion about either one of you, just make sure that you are bringing all the facts and the details to the table, to show that validity. So there's no, they don't think that you're out to be that looking at you as the one who's doing the sabotaging when it may not, it's not you, you're experiencing it.
That's
So you have to be very strategic about how you're approaching that with this person and be clear in your communication. And I would say use something called selective vulnerability. And selective vulnerability is where you share just enough of what you're trying to express and convey.
Mhm.
And then the whole goal is to get them to open up and express that as well. So
Right.
in order for you to show selective vulnerability, you definitely have to absolutely be emotionally mature in order for you to do that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Great
Yeah.
tips shared.
Ro-
Thank you.
so Rochelle says yes, more facts, less emotional projection. Absolutely. And then Cherie says, I've tried this recently and involved HR. Let me just say
The
don't get me
retaliation
started.
is
She
real.
said the retaliation is real. And yes, it is real. And again, Sharice, I don't know if this is your first time watching our Career Tip Tuesday, but we always talk about that before you go to HR, you need to determine whether your HR team is pro-employer or pro-employee, because that will help you to understand specifically which direction they're going to go in terms of their advocacy, right?
Mhm.
So if
Mhm.
it's hard, you really have to think twice before you get them involved. Find someone who's an ally, someone who's a good communicator, a good problem solver that can probably understand, again, be that third party so they don't have any bias going into helping you to resolve that. To do that. And I hate that for you too. I do too, Rochelle. I hate that for her as well, because I've been there too. Early on in my career, before I really before I even got into HR, just, me working a regular job, as an individual contributor. And I went to HR about something, and it was the worst decision I ever made at that point. So again, now that I'm in the field, been in the field for, over 2 decades, almost 2.5 now. I'm showing my age. Okay, but anyway, I still say that someone who's been in the HR industry for a very long time, I still say, and I say the truth. So anyone who's on here who's an HR professional, you know exactly what I'm saying, and you know I'm telling the truth. That you do have to make sure that you understand which one of your HR teams are. That's
That's
just
right.
real.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and that's unfortunate for you. So Sharice, I'm hope become part of our network and gather around some amazing women that can be support for you.
Supportive. Yeah,
Nikita, I'll let you
that's
take
right.
that one there. I'll let you take that one.
Yeah. So we have Sharice, another Sharice. Wow. Um, that says, now that's another topic because some HR is for the company versus their employee, despite the
Mm-hmm.
compliance training we take. That's absolutely right. It is another topic.
Yeah, that's why I said you have to make sure, are they pro employee or pro employer, because you need to know that for sure. And
I think
that's another
maybe
conversation to how do you identify that. And we have a video actually on that.
we should, yeah, we should maybe do that one as a Career Tip Tuesday, maybe. That'll be a good one. That'll be a good one. But yes, we do have a video on that one. I think it's on YouTube. I do believe it's on
Yeah,
YouTube.
and so Monica says, true, sometimes HR will facilitate your exit versus supporting you with your resources to succeed. That's true. That is so
Mm-hmm.
true, Monica.
Mm-hmm.
And then Allison says, thank you, valuable advice regarding human resources. Yeah, and that's true. And we have a whole webinar. We talk about self-advocacy and what that means, because you have to be smart about this when you're going to your human resource department, or when you're going to your leadership. You have to be very smart about how how you go about approaching it. Sharice, she said that she just had something recently happen to her. Please feel free to reach out. Need some extra support. It's all too real.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
all too.
it really
Yes.
is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And speaking of support, I think we have one more on here. Oh, we have a question. This one we did.
Yep. So the question is, how do you deal with a manager that has parallel experience to you and mutes you from any inclusivity or growth? Oof.
First of
What a
all,
question. What a question.
it's a great question, right? First of all, if it's is this first of all, a couple of questions. One, is this your are you directly reporting to this manager? or is this, you said it's manager that's parallel experience. So is this person reporting to them, or are they a peer? First of all, that's the question. Before I give an answer on this, I'd like to know which one they are. Are they a peer, or are you directly reporting to them?
Which says a manager. Look for another position while you speak out up often.
Yeah, and that's that's a great answer to my looking for another position while you speak out often. But in the meantime, here's the thing: looking for another position is always great, especially if you know that you're not going to get any movement or traction and see change. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why you're going through the situation, because there's something you need to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if the situation is something you need to learn from this, because maybe you're going to deal with it in another job or another role or with another person, you kind of also have to think about this as well. What am I supposed to learn from this? What am I supposed to gain in terms of my communication skills or problem solving skills, or being able to, manage my relationships? So this person says, yes, reporting to a manager. I had known I would not have taken this contracted role. I left a full-time job to come to this role, and it's worse than the last. And I've been there too. You left a job that you thought, this is horrible, and then you thought the next job was going to be amazing, and you walked right into part two, right? The same kind of similar situation, or even worse. So I think if this is a person that you're reporting to, you definitely need to stand up for yourself and have that conversation with them and tell them how you feel and how you'd like to see this relationship transpire or develop. The problem with a lot of times is that we look at these managers and think because they hold the card to fire us that we don't have the ability to speak up. Even you do, regardless if your manager or leader is not supporting a speak up environment or not creating psychological safety for you to be able to do that in the workplace, does not mean that you still cannot speak up for yourself. And when you speak up for yourself and you do it and you document that, and then you start to see retaliation afterwards, then you need to be documenting that too. And you get a whole nother issue on your hands.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you can't dim your light. You can't be silent. There's a way to address these things without being confrontational, and you can do it in a way that's compassionate and respectful, but it's on them to be able to be the ones to receive it. And if they choose not to, then that's their lack of emotional intelligence as a leader, and then their lack of being an inclusive leader at that. So we don't even want to go there to that. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother Career Tip Tuesday.
Yes, it is.
For sure. Yeah, he says yes, and the hours aren't full time. Wow. So your contract too. So again, you have a whole nother level of you're not even embedded in the culture in the same way as a full-time employee. So that's a whole nother conversation too. And if you're contracted, then you do have a little bit more of an open a freedom to be able to walk away from that in a way that maybe a full-time person would have to kind of think strategically about how they're going to do that. So again, all right. Well, I know we got to wrap it up because it's 1:05. We want to make sure we're being mindful of where it's time, and the lunchtime is over. But we do have a great way for you all to continue to connect with us, and that is through our mobile app, which is our app. You can download our app through the Google Play or Apple Store. And this is how you can stay connected with us, and this is also how you can gain access to the replay of this Career Tip Tuesday. So I know that it's been kind of tough because I myself have been traveling quite a bit for the last couple of weeks. It's been hard to kind of connect and get on the Career Tip Tuesday. But Key's in a transition phase herself right now. But we know you guys like these Career Tip Tuesdays, so we're going to keep them up for you guys.
Yep, we are.
We're going to keep these up. So just wanted to go ahead and encourage you guys to go ahead and download our app.
Yep,
please
download our app and engage with us. Introduce yourselves in the new member introduction. Let us know how you found us. If you found us via this Career Tip Tuesday, let us know. And if there are any sort of tips that you would like to hear, or if there are any sort of conversations you would like for us to have on these Career Tip Tuesdays, just let us know. We will take your topics into consideration. So we definitely want to make sure that we're giving you guys relevant content.
Yeah.
Lastly, we have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful elevating conversation tomorrow at 7 p.m. That'll be live streaming in our app only, not on LinkedIn. So, again, I highly recommend downloading the app. It is with a wonderful, well established supply diversity professional by the name of Kiana Barbie. And she will be talking about job search strategies, specifically finding a good corporate culture while you're in the interviewing phase. We know that it is so important. We know that the culture that you're going into can help you thrive emotionally, mentally, technically, and whatever your work is. So she's going to give us some tips and some tricks and some questions to actually ask during that interview process to really investigate what that corporate culture is.
Yeah, and again, if anyone you want to, if you want to connect, and again, we always take these conversations and move them over to our community within our app. Again, I put the link for those of you who have, if you have a web top and you want to, on the web desktop and you want to join from your laptop or desktop, you can. There is the website right there, or feel free again to join by just downloading our app from the Apple Store or Google Play. All right, you guys. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the session. We'll be back in 2 weeks to go for another Career Tip Tuesday. Until then, you guys have an amazing, amazing work week, and we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.